Hey guys, welcome to this video, and today we're going to be doing yet another album review. This time, another instrumental piece, An Empty Bliss Beyond This World by the Caretaker. That name may be ringing a bell, and obviously it is because he is the guy that created the Everywhere at the End of Time series. All 6 hours, you know, the dementia songs, you know, that everyone calls them. Now, this release predates Everywhere at the End of Time by 5 years. It came out on June 1st, 2011. But like Everywhere at the End of Time, it is based around memory loss. Not dementia, though. It's more based on Alzheimer's. In fact, this is a little snippet from the Bandcamp description of An Empty Bliss Beyond This World. Quote, "The Caretaker conjures a quieter, more introspective spirit, lost in his own mind amidst a low-lit labyrinth of ever-decaying and, I don't know how to pronounce that, shellic phrases, sourced from the mysterious collection of 78s. These vague snippets of archaic sonics reflect the ability of Alzheimer's patients to recall their favorite songs of their past, and with them, recollections of places, people, moods, and sensations." One other thing I'd like to mention is the album cover by Ivan Seal. You see, Ivan Seal has been collaborating with the Caretaker for way longer than Everywhere at the End of Time. He actually been collaborating since around 2006. But I think this is one of Caretaker's most iconic album covers besides, you know, like the Everywhere at the End of Time Stage 1 and like Stage 6 album covers. But this one, I think is probably a little bit more iconic. Because, I mean, it's very simple. It's just a ball with a match or like a pencil sticking out of it. I just really like it. Ivan Seal and the Caretaker go together very well. But yeah, with that intro done, let's head right in. The first song of the album, All You Are Going to Want to Do Is Get Back There, starts with a nice and mellow jazz piece with some vinyl crackling in the background, which is basically a Caretaker staple. I mean, you're not going to hear a Caretaker song without hearing at least a little bit of vinyl crackle. Anyways, this song samples This Is Romance by Hal Kemp and his orchestra. You can hear the very clear differences between these two. Also, the one consistent thing with this album is that songs will just abruptly end and go into the next one. Moments of sufficient lucidity. This one is a more minimal piano piece. Of course, it's got the staples of Caretaker where it's distorted and it has that good old vinyl crackle. This song samples Coquette, I think that's how it's pronounced, by Layton and Johnstone. Also, you are going to hear that name a lot, because the Caretaker sampled a lot from them during this album. So, be prepared to hear that name a couple more times. But this song, unlike the previous one, fades out, and it goes right into the great hidden sea of subconscious. This song is a lot more ambient than the others. Also, the vinyl crackle is actually a lot more quiet than the others. It's very, very, very hidden. This song samples Piano Melody of Layton and Johnstone's Successes by Turner Layton. After this song, we have Libet's Delay. Now, Libet's Delay returns to the jazz samples like in the first track. Also, this may sound familiar to you. Here, let me play a little sample of it. You see, this song has kind of blown up in recent times, kind of due to TikTok. I mean, you probably will hear this a couple times in your doom scrolling. I mean, his songs just randomly blowing up is not the first time this has happened to the Caretaker. That's besides the point. Let's get back to the song. You see, Libet's Delay is actually just a segment that repeats for 3 minutes. In fact, I'll put on screen every time it starts over. As you can see, that's quite a few times. This song samples Goodnight My Beautiful by Russ Morgan and his orchestra. Hey, you didn't expect a little editing bit, huh? But while doing the Libet's Delay section, I was just looking through the Caretaker, and I realized that Everywhere at the End of Time Stage 3 has a lot of references just in the titles to the names to Empty Bliss Beyond This World track titles. I mean, this one is just straight up Empty Bliss Beyond This World, not the song, but literally the name of it. And almost all the names are, I mean, this is just probably some bit of a stretch, and most of them are coincidences, like gradations at arm's length, and it's just kind of similar to camaraderie at arm's length. But maybe they're just not really references, more of just coincidences. But there's the song, the 15th track of this, F7, Libet Delay. You should take a listen. Sound familiar? Though heavily distorted, that is Libet's Delay. Straight up, Libet's Delay. Like, sure, it's heavily distorted, but you can tell. After Libet's Delay, we have I Feel As If I Might Be Vanishing. Now, that name is very melancholy compared to the other names. I mean, there's going to be a few that are maybe close, but this, I mean, if you hear the phrase I feel as if I might be vanishing, it sounds a little depressing. There's not much else to say about this song besides the fact that it samples I Guess I Expected Too Much by Wayne King and Larry Douglas. Our sixth song is An Empty Bliss Beyond This World. Hey look, it's the same name as the album. Anyways, it is very heavily distorted and actually kind of eerie. It's creepy, and when I was listening to this, I was sitting in a room by myself, and it's just, I don't know what makes it eerie. Like, I can't really describe, but I'm guessing it's just really the sound. I mean, duh, it's a song. But anyways, this song samples The Wedding of the Painted Doll by Layton and Johnstone. Also, this song is the second longest of this album, running at 4 minutes and 19 seconds. Our seventh song is Bedded in Long-Term Memory. Now, this one is super interesting, and it actually caught me off guard when I first listened to it, because it constantly switches from your right speaker to your left speaker. Whoa. Okay. This song's already interesting because it's panning from my left and right ear. Like, come on, song, pick a damn ear. I mean, I highly recommend you listen to this with headphones. Just go to Spotify, where you can find this, actually. I mean, any streaming platform it's on. Put on some headphones, and just listen to the song. It's just odd, hearing it just go from right to left and right to left. It's just weird. Also, it is probably the most distorted song so far. It also samples At Dawning by Layton and Johnstone. Song 8 is a relationship with the sublime. I don't really have much to say, besides the fact that it constantly skips and jumps throughout, and it also samples yet another song by Layton and Johnstone, this time Anytime Anywhere. Our 9th song is Mental Caverns Without Sunshine. It's ambient, and don't really have much else to say, besides the fact that it's another one of the songs that have a really melancholy name. Our 10th song, Paired Back to the Minimal, marks the 2/3 mark of this album. The one feature of this song that kind of jumped out at me is the scraping noise throughout, and the sample just starts and stops. It's like, it's only like this loop of it, and then you'll hear a scraping noise, and then it stops. Starts again. This song also uses At Dawning, which was the same sample used in Embedded in Long-Term Memory. Now the next 2 tracks of this album are really interesting because they are a reprise of Mental Caverns Without Sunshine and An Empty Bliss Beyond This World. Now I think the reason why the Caretaker decided to repeat 2 songs with some differences was because he wanted to represent Alzheimer's in a way, they're trying to remember. First, I'll go over the Mental Caverns Without Sunshine reprise. It is the shortest track of the album, running at 1 minute and 35 seconds. Now, besides that, I don't really have much else to say about the reprise of Mental Caverns Without Sunshine. But the one that is way more interesting to me is the reprise of An Empty Bliss Beyond This World. This one is drastically different from the song that is reprising. First of all, it switches from playing on both speakers, or if you're wearing headphones, it plays on both ears, and then it will suddenly switch to the left speaker, or left ear. Then it would switch back to both. It never switches to just right. It's just both speakers, then left, then both, then left. It switches pretty constantly. It also is extremely distorted, and it constantly skips, switches, jumps, and slows down. It also clips the audio. Here's an example. It's almost like this song is falling apart right in your ears. By the end, it's just completely destroyed. After the 2 reprisals, we have Tiny Gradations of Loss. This one is very muffled, and another thing you can also hear is that the audio constantly skips or clips. This one samples piano melody of Layton and Johnstone's Successes by Turner Layton, which was also sampled in The Great Hidden Sea of Subconscious. Track 14 is Camaraderie at Arm's Length. This one is the most clear sounding of this album. It is probably the least distorted one we've ever heard in this. It is also the longest song, running at 4 minutes and 45 seconds. This song also samples What Do You Know About Love by Russ Morgan and his orchestra. After Camaraderie, we have The Sublime is Disappointingly Elusive, the last track of this album. It is also the second shortest in length. The vinyl crackle that was absent in the last song is now returned. This track samples Star Dreams by Charlie Spivak and his orchestra. The song then fades out, ending both the track and the album. Ooh, that album. I had listened to Caretaker's works before. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of him. But I hadn't listened to An Empty Bliss Beyond This World. I listened to a little bit of Libet's Delay, but besides that, I hadn't really listened to the full album. It only took until April Fool's Day where I decided to load up a joke stream where I was going to pretend I was going to do my modded Half-Life 2 Episode 1 playthrough. I was going to start it. And I, got it all set up. I was in Gary's mod setting up the whole thing, and then I just switched right to this and did a listening party of it. And that, I don't know why, I just randomly had the motivation to do that. And hey, we got this video out of it. Now, unlike the last album review, I'm gonna actually say my top 3 favorites out loud. I'm gonna go in order from 3 to 1. So, my top 3 favorites are Moments of Sufficient Lucidity, Libet's Delay, and Camaraderie at Arm's Length. Now, one thing I want to do is just give some more fun facts about this album, since I know a few. One is that most of the records he bought to sample in this album were all bought for $10. And I just find that funny, because, I mean, with $10, he made this album, basically. Well, it wasn't exactly $10, obviously, but still, most of the tracks you hear in this, most of the sampled ones you hear, were all bought together for $10, which was pretty interesting. Another fact is that all of the album was made in Berlin, Germany. But yeah, that's it for this video. Anyways, hope you liked this album review, and goodbye.